Hello Internet. Today I want to talk about my very favorite subjects, time division multiplexing. Now, that acronym sounds complex, and to be honest, it is complex. But this technology, this way of transmitting data is one of my favorite things about PON. It's just neat. So let's draw it out and see if we can simplify what time division multiplexing does and why it's important to fiber optics and PON. So, as usual, let's start by drawing out our network. So at one end, we have our OLT, and at the other end, we have an ONT. In this case, we're going to make a couple. Start with 3. Now, we know that we have a fiber optic cable that's going from the OLT. It's then being split, and it's going to each of the ONTs, and connecting to many more than just 3, but 3 for this example. And we know that the OLT is sending bursts of light towards the ONTs. But how does it get to all of them? Well, that's what the splitter does. What the splitter does is it literally just splits it. So the light is going to be split in 3 directions. So this burst of information keeps going down every light, every fiber. And now in the other direction, the ONTs are also sending data, and they're sending it in bursts of light. We're going to use a different color for the other one. And one more color. And when the light hits the splitter, it gets combined. And now we have a big mess. We have all this different light all being converged at the splitter, all going upstream. Now remember, the OLT is sending down in a specific wavelength, the ONT is sending up in a specific wavelength, but each of these ONTs is speaking on the same wavelength. So if there was a color, they would all be the same color. So when they get to that splitter, they all converge, and that's where this doesn't work. And that's where time division multiplexing comes in. So let's redraw this, and let's look at how time division multiplexing, or TDM, actually works. So let's do TDM. So that's time division multiplexing. Time division multiplexing. Hopefully you can read that. So we have our fiber cable. Going from the ONT, it's being split by a splitter. So before we go any further, to make this a little simpler, we're going to label everything. So the ONTs are each going to have a label. So in this case, we're going to have ONT A, ONT B, and ONT C. So when the OLT wants to send data to get to ONT A, it's going to package that up and it's going to identify it. So in this case, this is some data. This is a burst of light, and it has an A on it. It's meant to go to ONT A. So the OLT sends this data in a little container with an A. So when it gets to the splitter, what's going to happen? Now remember, the splitter is passive. There's no electronics in there. It's just glass. The whole thing is just a bunch of glass fused together. So is the A packet going to know which fiber to go down? Nope. Because it's all passive, it doesn't know where to go. So, because it's just light, it goes everywhere. So that packet marked with A, that data, is going to go down every pipe, every light, and it's going to go all the way to the ONT. and it's going to hit it, and it's going to be received by its sensor. And so ONT-A was expecting that data because it asked for it. So it's going to take it, it's going to accept it, it's going to bring it in, and it'll become data, it'll become internet. Oh, we forgot to draw a cloud. There, beautiful cloud. So A got its data, but B also got the same data. So what does B do? B ignores it. It drops it. I'm not looking for that data. I'm ONT-B. Same with C. It sees that data that has an A marked on it. It says, I don't want it. Discard. Drops it. It ignores it. So that works. So the OLT can keep doing the same thing. It can send data with a B. When that gets there, it's going to be sent down every pipe. ONT-A, I don't care. Drop it. ONT-B, accept, pass it on. ONT-C, drop it. I don't care. And obviously does the same thing with C. Gets sent down every pipe. C accepts it. The others ignore it. Drop. Drop. So this is how PON works. This is how the upstream information, the information that's flowing from the OLT to the ONTs, how it works. Because that splitter is entirely passive, everything that's coming to it gets sent everywhere, and the ONTs just disregard it. I'm not looking for that data. I'm ONT-B. Same with C. It sees that data that has an A marked on it. It says, I don't want it. Discard. Drops it. It ignores it. So that works. So ONT can keep doing the same thing. So the OLT can keep doing the same thing. It can send data with a B. When that gets there, it's going to be sent down every pipe. ONT-A, I don't care. Drop it. ONT-B, accept, pass it on. ONT-C, drop it. I don't care. And obviously does the same thing with C. Gets sent down every pipe. C accepts it. The others ignore it. Drop. Drop. So this is how PON works. This is how the upstream information, the information that's flowing from the OLT to the ONTs, how it works. Because that splitter is entirely passive, everything that's coming to it gets sent everywhere, and the ONTs just disregard it. So let's draw this out again, and this time let's look at how it looks in the opposite direction. So we'll draw our fiber out again. It's being split. It's going to all the ONTs. So ONT-A now wants to send some data to the OLT. It wants to send a request to get to the internet. So let's package that up. We'll go with purple. So ONT-A is going to take its data. It's going to put an A on it. It's going to send it all the way down. And when it gets to the splitter, just like in the other direction, it's all going to be combined. Instead of all being split, this time it gets combined. So A, those bursts of light, have an A on it. We look at ONT-B. What's it doing? That's right. It is marking it with B, sending it to the splitter, and then it's being combined. Now we get to ONT C. So it's marking as data with a C. It's heading up there. Now all this data is all being burst with a laser up these pipes, all towards the splitter. And what happens there? Well, just like how in the other direction, the light is split and goes to multiple locations, now we have multiple locations that all converge. So all these fibers, all these beams of light are converging. And you would think what would happen is they would collide. This is all happening at tremendous speed. So what would happen if A and C send their burst at the exact same time? They would collide. The lights would hit, it would all, you'd get nothing. It would be all corrupted. C and A would get merged together. You'd end up with this malformed AC mess that gets the OLT, and it wouldn't know what to do with it. So that doesn't work. So that's where time division comes in. So we're going to take a little bit of a step back to show how this works. So we have a fiber. It's going to a splitter. And it's splitting it 3 ways in this example. Now, this fiber is going to that ONT, and we'll say that this is a 1 kilometer fiber. This one here, a 1.5 kilometer, and then this one here, just for fun, a 2 kilometer. So this is the total length from that ONT back to that OLT. So they're all at slightly different lengths. So when an ONT first gets plugged in, what does it do? Well, it sends some identification packets up to the OLT. The OLT accepts it. They pass a little bit of data. And then the ONT and the OLT do something that's called ranging. So this is where they're transmitting some light and some information, and it's kind of similar to sonar, where ONT-A will send a packet and it times it. How long did it take for that packet to get from me back to the OLT? This ranging is literally what it sounds like. It's ranging. It's determining how far away, not just in distance, but in time. How long does it take when a burst of light is sent from A to the OLT and vice versa? How long does it take? So for an example, we'll say this one takes 2 milliseconds. That's not a real number, it's just an example. The other ONTs are all going to do the same thing, and they're all going to come up with a slightly different time. So that one was 2 milliseconds, this one was 2.5 milliseconds, and this one was 3. Again, this stuff happens on a much faster scale than milliseconds, but this is just for illustration purposes. So all of these ONTs have range. They've done their little sonar to see how far away they are. They know exactly how long it takes for a burst of light to get from themselves to the OLT and back. So it's going to take all these ONTs that have all now ranged, and it knows the distances and how long it takes for light to get between them, and it's going to give them a time slot. It's essentially going to tell the ONTs to get in line and take a number. So it's going to say ONT A, okay, you are given slot 1. ONT B, you are given slot 2. ONT C, you are given slot 3. So now the OLT happily sends its data with A's and B's and C's, gets there, goes to each one. The one that wants it accepts it, the others are ignoring. They're not listening. But when it's time for the ONTs to send data up, and again, this happens at an extremely fast frequency, So this is just for illustration purposes. They take turns. So the first person's turn to send data is A. So A is going to package up some data in a burst. It's going to send a whole bunch of A packets out. ONT-B, that's right, it's going to send some Bs. And ONT-C will send C. They're all going to take turns. All that data is going to flow towards this splitter, and when it gets there, they're not going to come at the same time, essentially. A is going to get there first. So A data is going to be at the front of the line. And then B's next. He's got number 2. And then lastly, pulling up the rear is C. And now this data continues on to the OLT, and it all gets received in line. When the A gets received, the OLT knows, okay, I'm sending that to this internet, right? B, oh, that's going this way. And so on and so forth. This is the magic of time division multiplexing. When I first learned about this, it really felt like magic. And when you think about this concept, and then you think about how it scales. So we have 3 ONTs here. A normal connection, a normal splitter, is going to be a minimum of 16, 32, 64, 128. 128 ONTs have all ranged, know exactly how long it takes from light to get from them to the OLT. And they're all taking turns. It's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn. Sending data so the data doesn't have a collision. Now you have 128 ONTs on this fiber, all taking turns. And then you think about the fact that there's another fiber leaving here to another 128 ONTs and another 128, and you keep going. When you think about the scale of thousands and thousands of ONTs all taking turns on these fibers, it's honestly kind of amazing. It's a little bit magical that this works, and it's really one of the reasons that I love this industry is when you get down to the technology, when you really understand it, it's really amazing. Whoever invented this, whoever designed this concept, it's just an amazing innovation that has really made the internet and broadband possible. So, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. TDM, or time division multiplexing, is one of my favorite things to whiteboard because it sounds so complex, but when you draw it out, it becomes so simple. But then at the same time, it is so kind of magical that this all works. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.